Hello YouTube, welcome back to the channel. My name is Shadow, and today I've got a Resurgence gameplay on Ashika Island for you of all maps. And I actually dropped 20 kills in this gameplay. I'm going to drop it, just let you know right off the bat, it is a 20 kill game. I have not got 20 kills in this iteration of Warzone ever, so I had to throw it on the channel. The weapons I'm using in the gameplay are the Ram 7 and the Ram 9, my go-tos, especially the Ram 9. The Ram 7 in yesterday's update, when they updated the game one more time after the mid-season update, they kind of, I don't want to say they adjusted anything with the Ram 7, it just feels great. Maybe it's the fact that they're adjusting other guns and they're buffing guns, they're nerfing guns, and the Ram 7 and a couple other guns, kind of like the MTZ 762, have kind of just stayed the same. That being said, I was able to get 20 kills with the Ram 7, and the meta setup actually doesn't involve an optic, so it's actually kind of interesting that I was using a long-range weapon without an optic. But for Ashika and Resurgent, it works completely fine for the smaller maps when you're respawning a lot. And sniping in this iteration of Warzone is kind of pointless anyway. But the opening clip that you saw there was me using the aftermarket part for the Holger 556. They just added that in yesterday's update on Wednesday, and it's a really good aftermarket part. It's probably a little overpowered at this point. You shoot 2 bullets at once, kind of like the aftermarket part for the AMR9. It gives you 100 rounds in your magazine, but it also nerfs your recoil control, your damage range, and your bullet velocity. But honestly, when you're using it, you don't feel too much of those negatives. One of the attachments that I threw on there right off the bat was the high velocity in the ammunition category. Definitely seemed to help out to mitigate the bullet velocity that you lose with the aftermarket part. When you throw the aftermarket part on, there's certain attachments you can't use. They won't let you use a muzzle attachment. You can't put an underbarrel attachment. The aftermarket part, I think, comes with an underbarrel grip there, and you can't put a barrel on it. So you're kind of stuck with putting an optic, maybe a laser, ammunition, which is the high velocity that I threw on there. You put a stock on there, maybe a grip. The high velocity, reason why I chose the high velocity over high grain, the high grain rounds actually increased your, or actually made the recoil control less. So it was bouncing all over the place in the firing range. So I threw high velocity on there. Your recoil control just kind of stays the same. All the other attachments I threw on there helped with recoil control, and it seemed to be a laser. The damage was very good, very strong for a new aftermarket part. There appears to be an issue, like there is with every single update when they update this game, where certain people weren't actually able to unlock the backsaw kit when it was released, the backsaw kit being the 556 aftermarket part. And it looks like they've resolved the issue. But once again, with these updates, can they get them right? Especially with another aftermarket part that actually is worth it. It's actually a usable, borderline OP aftermarket part. Some people aren't even able to unlock it. It's just that they need to fix this stuff. There's also an issue with a new part or a new attachment that's been released. There's an attachment for the Rival 9. It's supposed to be for the Rival 9. And if you've ever noticed on your muzzle attachments, you'll notice that you have 2 Jack BFBs. It's the aftermarket part that they released. One is the actual Jack BFB, and the other one is a locked attachment that's supposed to be for the Rival 9. And they updated the game, and it's supposed to be a new attachment that you're supposed to be able to use. It's supposed to be called the Trebuchet Brake Muzzle. And here we are once again, and it's not usable in the game. So I don't know why they even put it in the patch notes. I don't know why they bother updating the game if things are still going to be bugged. Of course, they threw a nerf on the Haymaker's Jack Maglift kit. That gun was going insane. One of my best friends, ADHD, was using that like crazy in Search and Destroy. The only nerf they really did was they kind of nerfed its hipfire spread. They didn't do too much. They actually didn't touch its damage or its fire rate or anything crazy like that. They just kind of made the hipfire spread a less accurate, increased the maximum hipfire spread, and increased the tactical stance spread. So they're just kind of adjusting some guns, making sure that they're not too overpowered. They also adjusted the Jack Tyrant 762 kit for the longbow. That's another gun that was kind of going crazy, especially on Das House. People were running around with it like it was a shotgun, but it's supposed to be a 762 marksman rifle. If anything, it's not really supposed to be used as a shotgun, but here you go, Call of Duty players using weapons like they're not supposed to be. But you also got to blame the developers. When they're adding these guns into the game, there needs to be play testing. The guns need to be tested out to make sure that they're not going to be wrecked. You know how these Call of Duty players are going to use these guns. They're going to try to exploit them. They're going to try to make them as overpowered as possible. So they need to test them to make sure that they're not doing that before the new weapons are even released into the game. But other than that, it was pretty much a small update after the small Season 2 Reloaded update. So really not too much is going on with the game. And as of right now, I am still in the dark as far as the weapons that are going to be released for Season 3. Usually at this point in the season or this life cycle of Call of Duty, the seasonal life cycle of Call of Duty, at this point I usually know what the weapons are going to be for next season. But right now there hasn't been too much smoke. I'm not sure if the data miners aren't data mining or if Call of Duty is finally able to kind of get a lock on the new weapons and the new stuff, that's new content that's being released, and it's not going to be announced weeks and sometimes months before it's actually put into the game. With last week's update being relatively small, especially for the seasonal reloaded update, and this week's update really not adding too much to the game, I think I'm going to go back to Cold War and play some prop hunt and get some prop hunt for the channel, as well as stream it. Reason I have to go back to Cold War is that they didn't put out any iteration of prop hunt for Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare 3, so I am going to have to go back to Cold War to play it. And maybe get the boys to get on, have a few brewskis, and get some funny gameplay for the channel. In addition to putting some Cold War prop hunt on the channel, I would also like to throw some other games on the channel as well and on stream. Maybe a Helldivers 2. I'm open to suggestions. Definitely throw them down there in the comments. And with that being the Call of Duty news this week, I would like to get into some of the very exciting news that is going on with my Philadelphia Eagles this offseason. With it being March now, we are in NFL free agency, and one of the biggest free agents that the Eagles were able to sign was Saquon Barkley from the New York Giants. He is the running back, and looking like he'll be able to keep his old jersey number 26 with us over here in Philly, and it's just kind of comes full circle with him being a PA guy, Pennsylvania guy. Grew up in Pennsylvania, played high school football in Pennsylvania, played college football in Pennsylvania at Penn State. It wasn't until he got to the NFL that he wasn't in Pennsylvania anymore. So it's nice to have him come home and play for the Eagles there. And of course, with every good, there's some a little bit of bad. With Saquon Barkley signing, we did lose Jason Kelce, our center, which is unfortunate. We were not going to have our for sure Hall of Fame center blocking for Saquon Barkley next year. And we also lost Fletcher Cox, our defensive tackle. Both of them have been with the Eagles for a very long time. Won the Super Bowl with us. They lost that Super Bowl with us with the Chiefs as well. But they've been there for a long time. Great players. For sure Hall of Famers. It sucks that we lose them, as well as adding some of these awesome players that I'm about to name as well. One, or actually two positions that you would look at the Eagles from last year and say that they need an upgrade is the linebacker and the safety position, and they managed to address that. We signed linebacker Zach Braun, as well as C.J. Gardner-Johnson, familiar face for the Eagles, at safety. And it's very interesting to have him back after he, wanted to shit talk the fans. And, the fans wanted to shit talk him right back. And it's honestly because the fans wanted him. He's a really good player, and I think he wanted to stay. But when money's involved and everything else, things get a little toxic. As well as I think he got his car stolen when he was in Philadelphia the first tenure. So, you can't really blame him for having a little bit of a negative opinion on Philadelphia, but it's all good now. We're ready to work with him. Hopefully we'll be able to get a championship ring for him. And then a few other random signings. The Eagles signed Devontae Parker, the wide receiver. I'm kind of assuming that he'll make the team as a wide receiver 3, but it's really not guaranteed. He might not even make the roster, even though he was given all that guaranteed money. But kind of an interesting signing there, considering that we have Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. We don't necessarily need a receiver. We definitely need more linebacker play, and we could probably use another safety, but, receiver's fine too. And other guys on the list were just guys who were already on the team, like Landon Dickerson, our left guard. We re-signed him. Young player, definitely want to keep him around for a long time. And our kicker, Jake Elliott, who I believe the Eagles gave him a contract that very similarly rivals Justin Tucker's contract, the Ravens kicker. So very interesting there. And that is the video. If you enjoyed, please like, comment, and subscribe. I have about 27 subscribers at the moment, and I need about 50 so that I can stream on YouTube. And speaking of streaming, I am streaming Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, 12 till about 10. Please come hang out. And that's it. I'm out. Peace.
I love it. I'm gonna whip up my wiener on missile.
Imagine being up 4-2, losing.
They all quit. Fucking winner.
GG's, guys. Well done. Except for Joey.
Yeah,
Joey, you stink. Joey, you stink. You're not a part of it.
Joey, you did all right.
Yay.